Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at why some players get too much onto their toes in their golf swing. This is a really simple approach that I find many players miss. Hopefully you enjoy the video. Thanks once again for joining me. So today we've got a simple approach to help players that get on their toes too much in their golf swing. So you see me rehearsing, I'm actually rehearsing the downswing. That's the part of the swing where I find a lot of players will reference like, oh, I get too much on my toes when I transition. And I think that's the point in the swing where it's most evident. What I don't find players paying up attention to is actually how they set up and getting that connection to the ground with their heels, getting in their hips properly and getting their rib cage sat in the right position in the setup position. So I want to tie together why that's so important and how in many cases for players, that's the actual starting point that leads them getting in their toes in the downswing. So I doubt very much you've had this tied together before. So hopefully this provides some clarity and really helps you to kind of get that initial sense of what it's like to keep the connection to the ground more with the heels as you transition. Okay, so before we get into the video, if you haven't hit subscribe yet and you're enjoying the videos, please remember to do so. And also, if you're looking for opportunities to work with me one-on-one, go to ianmellorgolf.com. Got a few different options there, online and in person, and you can always contact me if you'd like to tailor something. Okay, so as far as in setup, really common to see players actually set up too much on their toes. And I've gained an acute eye for this, having used 3D a lot and building the awareness of how players can sit in an optimum position in their hips. So when a player sits well into the hips, there's often a much more improved connection with the ground, with the heel. And a video I watched recently that a coach shared kind of prompted this video, and they were using a drill that I actually use a lot, or an awareness exercise where you put an alignment stick on the ground and just build that awareness of when you get the alignment stick under your arches, what it feels like to have that pressure even in the heel and the front part of your foot. So great way to initially get that awareness from the foot interaction with the ground. However, it doesn't really cue how the player needs to sit in the hip and how the rib cage needs to sit to get that also supports that feeling, that connection with the ground. So there's lots of ways to kind of get the feel from the foot to the ground where you're not actually in your optimum position from a body standpoint. So that's what I want to share with you today. I'm just going to put up on the screen here an exercise I have a lot of the junior players do, where they put a band around the bottom of their legs there, and I'll have them shuffling backwards. So the reason why I do this is because when a player gets into this position and they're shuffling backwards, it gets them deep, nicely through the hips. It gets the pressure, the center of mass of the rib cage back, and it gets that good connection from the heel to the ground. And obviously, if you were to just kind of do that and shuffle, you don't have to go far. You can do what I do. You just shuffle, dragging your feet along the ground, then stop, and then just kind of allow your arms to hang forward. Imagine there's a club there. When you initially stop, you'll feel a lot more pressure in your heels. You'll feel more in your heels than your toes. But once you kind of let your arms hang and you've added the club and just a very mindful rock forward so you're not going back to your toes, once you kind of get in that position, very different starting position. When I do that, just feels very different the way I'm sitting through my hips, feels very different the position of the upper body. I'll show you from face on here. I like to interlace my fingers in between my ribs there and actually like push, just not too much, but kind of allow the rib cage to sit back and almost hug the spine is the way I do it. And then I kind of get there, and that's my setup position right there. Okay, so really simple cue there. I'll put up the video once again of the player there doing it, so you can see there as he's doing that, and then you get into it. It just really supports a good setup. Every time I do this with the players at the start of the session, they move into a good setup position a lot more easily. They don't really have to think about it, and that's what I love about providing the right exercises and drills. It takes away a player having to be too thoughtful, and they can actually put their attention on a few pieces that are, allow them to move forward with their movement rather than them having multiple checkpoints. Okay, so I haven't had too much chance to hit recently, so this is something that's primary to me. So I'm kind of doing my shuffles there, out on the range, just getting into those hips, allowing the arms to hang, feeling that connection to the ground. Even check the rib cage position there. Check my setup. If I haven't hit for a while, how I stand at setup is pretty much my main focus. So we're going to get in here now, get a feeling of that. One thing I like to do with players as well is to just get a ruler out. I have mine right here. I know you're probably waiting for me to hit that one, but this one just came to mind here. And I'll actually have players, I've got the ruler down here. I'll put it one club head from the ball. I'll have players, after they've done that, kind of just get a sense of where they need to be in their setup and hit balls with the ruler down as well, finding the right distance from the ball. Just another thing to really support that. Often when players are on the toes, they stand a little bit further away from the ball. Okay, so let me hit one. Teasing you guys with that one there, just getting in, pulling away. Okay, so good awareness there, like the connection with the heel. Just kind of making sure I kind of keep that connection as I get the right distance from the ball. Nice one there. And I literally, if I haven't hit balls in a while, I'll take time, take my time in between shots, just going through that, making sure that I'm one, set up well, so that I can move well in my swing. A good setup allows optimum movement at the joints that you have, the joint ranges you have, so you're going to move your best with a really good setup.